Wednesday, November 26th. And I'm joined, as always, by my friend Pete. Pete, we got a special guest today, another one.
I know, we've got a run of special guests. It's a happy Thanksgiving to one and all.
Yes.
Festive holiday. We got everybody home. And today we got my son Mike, who's in the middle in the terms of the birth order. He's got Jack has 17 months on him, so those guys were pretty pretty close age-wise. So that was a lot of fun growing up. Mike is a brilliant mechanical engineer. I think I'm saying that objectively. I think it's an objective fact that is true. But we'll let Mike demonstrate his skills in that regard. But obviously, we've had Jack and Lily so far. Mike, you're the third guest.
Lovely.
We saved the best for last, pal. So there's a lot of pressure on you. Welcome to the pod.
Definitely. Thank you guys for having me. No, this is it's been really good to listen to this, and I appreciate Glenn for having created and is the shepherd for this experience. And I think we all, both the listeners and I, didn't really know what this was going to be.
Yeah.
And it's kind of formed itself into something that you buy and a lot of people look forward to on their Wednesday mornings.
I think it is not unreasonable to refer to Glenn, and if I may be so bold, me, as artists.
I'll take it.
We like to create.
I was going producer, but
yeah, makers. Right.
So I think we've started this a little bit with maybe a little whatever sort of background you want to give about yourself, as opposed to have me brag about you. Why don't you humble brag yourself?
Well, I was just listening to Jack's podcast this morning, so I can kind of go off the back of what he was doing there. But I'm the middle child. I am just a little bit younger than Jack, and several years older than Lily. So you had Jack and me relatively close to one another. And in my kind of recent adult life, I, like Lily did, went to Kansas State University and really enjoyed being back out in the Midwest. And since then have graduated and came back home and started a business with my amazing friend Isaac. And about 9 months ago, I left that business, and Isaac is still running the ship over there, and have started a new mechanical engineering position doing honestly quite similar things. But I'm an engineer. I am my brain thinks in numbers almost all day long, and I find myself really enjoying mechanical systems of all types, and I think that is a good way of describing every single hobby and activity I have enjoyed since I could enjoy an activity by myself.
A couple of examples of that. First of all, Mike was an engineer out of the womb. As soon as he had any dexterity in his hands, he was building things, whatever little 3-year-olds do. It was always fairly complex. He's got the ability, these games where it's a board thing. It's a Swiss game that we play, but I assume it exists in this country, with all sorts of different shapes. And the game is to figure out how the one shape fits into another, but you're playing against somebody else. And
Blocus?
Mike, Blocus. Yep. And Mike has always had this ability to see objects, 3-dimensional objects, and spatially see how they could fit together. I can't do that. You put them in my hand and I flip them around. I can't do it. He can just look at them, and he's doing something in his head, like flipping them around and rotating them or whatever.
Not actively, yeah.
Oh, boom. And it fits in like a glove. So I stopped playing Blocus by the time Mike was about 6. I'm like, screw this. I get my ass kicked by a 6-year-old every time. That's not good for my ego. And building drones.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell that story at one point in this podcast. But
yep.
You have.
I've been mechanically inclined for a long time.
Yeah.
And still to this day find that the things I enjoy doing most are, even unrelated from work, are mechanically related.
Now, also, like a fairly big piece of news, I think we should give a little shout out to Haley.
Absolutely. My partner in crime for the last 8 years, who I am going to marry in June of 2026.
Yeah.
Amazing.
June 6th, 2026.
Congrats.
No, we are really looking forward to that. Haley has been an amazing partner for ever since I met her. And she and I are both really looking forward to this. And she has been very patient with me over the last many years.
Yeah, well, that'd be, there's a large membership in that society.
Yeah.
We've been patient with Mike's society.
That
a few
is not
people.
true. That is true. I mean, that is true. But yeah, no, Haley and I met in Kansas, and we met on Tinder in Kansas, which I think has changed a lot over the last 7 or 8 years. So I don't know if it's the same as it is now. I haven't been on there in a while.
Me neither.
But she moved back to Massachusetts with me after I graduated. She graduated 2 years ahead of me. She was a little older than I was, still is. And then
She's from Mass?
No, she's from
Okay.
Dighton, Kansas, which I don't want to get wrong of the actual population, but measured in, I don't know, the 300-ish realm.
Got it.
I think her graduating class was 5 or 6 people
Wow.
in high school. So this is a very small community. And she spent her entire life until she went to college there. So it was a much different upbringing situationally and, with the parenting style and all sorts of things that have made us grow together in interesting ways as we adapt to and have adapted to each other's,
Right.
personalities.
Right.
And she particularly enjoys when I make little jokes about growing up on the farm.
Mm.
She didn't actually grow up on a farm, but it sounds better.
Yeah. There were farm animals,
Yes.
but I wouldn't necessarily say it's categorically a farm.
No, and she gives me the death stare. But we're still friends.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, but we moved back. We moved back here after I graduated and have really kind of started to settle,
Yeah.
which has been nice. And we're really enjoying being back here, and I think we'll be here for a while.
Yeah. That's terrific. That's terrific. What should we talk about next?
Yeah, where should we take this?
Well, you have anything in particular you'd like to, or I can
We could nerd out about mechanical and car stuff or like that, but that's nobody wants to hear that. What's I like hearing like the stories, the early stories or memories that you have of each other or certain funny things.
I have a car adjacent thing that I think is a good thing that we've experienced together. I have been into cars and have been making poor decisions with what cars to own since I was 15 years old.
Okay, I've never heard those words come out of your mouth, so that's good.
And I think part of my car enthusiasm has luckily blended in a little bit to you and Mom. Obviously not to an extremely high rate, but one of the things that we were able to connect with a lot, especially in my college years, was finally doing some automotive stuff together, which I really enjoyed by myself, and it was even more special to do it together. And I look back at a lot of the events we did extremely fondly as a ton of fun. Because we did, several schools together. We did autocrosses. We've done track days. And a lot of that, stemmed from you deciding at some point, for some reason that I still don't quite have my head wrapped around, that you should buy a sports car, which was very unlike you at the time.
Well, you were for many, many years telling me to buy a Porsche, and I'm like, Mike, I'm never buying a Porsche. And then I'm like, well, maybe. So I came around to it and bought the Cayman, which was used, might add.
Very responsible.
$50,000 what
Yeah.
I spent. I'm
Nice.
man of the people. I can't afford some of these fancy cars, but I did what I could do. And Mike wanted to do autocross. For those that don't know what autocross is, imagine being at an airport out on the tarmac, and there's a bunch of cones lined up in a various formations. So you have straightaways and S turns and, like 270-degree turns and slaloms.
Mm-hmm.
And it's designed for you to like learn how to take your car to the limit and navigate tight stuff. So you're not necessarily driving super fast,
Right.
but you're trying to go as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to learn sort of what the right line is and how to take the line. And anyway, there's a 3-day school in Salinas,
Kansas. Yep.
Salina, Kansas. And Mike was like, let's do that. I'm like, Mike, really? This doesn't seem that pragmatic. Can we find something that's not, 1,400 miles away? And he's like, Dad, I will fly out, drive your car to Kansas, drive it back from Kansas afterwards. All you need to do is fly here. And I'm like, okay. And so that's what we did. We went out there and stayed at Mike's place, and it was cool. I mean, it was super fun.
Yeah.
And you have like professional drivers that, like, you walk the course and check it out, and then you can, they'll sort of drive you around the course slowly,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'll have you drive the course, and you think you're doing pretty well, but you're clearly screwing all those things up. But then the driver's like, all right, let's switch.
Mm-hmm.
And the driver does it, and it's like white knuckle.
Hang on.
Yeah. You really get to see what your own car can
Like you
do.
learn how to, like, as you're coming into a tight turn, before you get to the turn, you start turning before you get to the turn, but the other thing is you hard pump on the brakes to get the weight forward in the car.
Mm-hmm.
So then when you crank the wheel, it turns better. Now you
Oh, yeah.
guys know all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of this.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was fun.
Yeah, definitely. And I very much appreciated your jump into the deep end for the car that you bought, because I not a lot of 6'4", 6'5" guys ripping around in Caymans for just the first fact of it. And second of all, you had been driving huge, like limo sedans your entire adult life.
Yeah,
So with the transition,
but I won't argue the point.
the car you came out of was like 21 feet long.
The other thing I would add about the Cayman is that it could fit my guitar amp, entire PA system, all the cables. It fit for any gig that we played.
It was
load
incredible.
it all into the Cayman. And
it was like magic.
The amount of storage space in that vehicle was.
It became a one-passenger car at that point.
Yeah. Because the guitar was in the front seat.
Got it.
And obviously the front, the frunk.
Yeah.
That's where the amp would go, and the pedals.
Nice.
And in the back, I could fit the Bose system and everything. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mike has been into cars for a long time, and
Yep.
I've never been into cars. I'm still not exactly into cars, but I was happy to.
Yeah.
It was a fun thing to do for 2 years, 3 years when you bought it.
Well, we talked about with Jack. I'm a basketball guy, so me and Jack doing hoop stuff,
right?
Just came naturally, and it was fun.
Yeah.
The car stuff took me a little while to.
Right.
Which probably wasn't so great for you, but. You don't seem too scarred.
No, it was still a lot of fun. You have been, honestly, very supportive of all of the tomfoolery I've been getting up to. And so I'm counting this as a win overall.
A story that has nothing to do with this. Mike, I guess it was 7th grade, was very early on into drones and bought a kit and built this hexcopter and mounted it was probably a GoPro.
It was a GoPro, yeah.
And had these goggles that you could look through so you could do POV flying.
Mm-hmm. And this is in 2014?
Yeah.
Early.
Early. Like DJI. Nobody ever, they were probably DJI.
My drone was DJI, but they didn't sell any finished drones. It was kits only.
Kits only. And so anyway, I come home from work one day. Mike's in the front yard with his, POV glasses on, playing with the joysticks and stuff. And I'm like, And I'm like, Mike, what are you doing? He's like, yeah, I'm flying the drone. And I'm like, well, where's the drone? He's like, right above us. And I look up, and I don't know how high it was, but it was a little speck in the sky.
2,000 feet in the sky.
And I said, doing like an FAA airspace or something? Is this legal? And fairness to you, you're like, nope, I looked it up. You can fly up to X amount of feet.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this was
Yeah.
before the FAA started really cracking down on this. There wasn't even like now there's registration for
yeah,
drones and
yeah.
stuff, and that
Yep.
none of that existed.
And the real point is you were a seventh grader.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of.
Yeah.
It wasn't the beginning, but that's when things started to get serious.
Definitely. As soon as I remember getting for Christmas, probably shortly or before that, or shortly after that, a soldering iron kit, and that's when you know you're destined to be a freaking nerd.
Yeah.
That's when you get a soldering iron for Christmas.
Love it.
There's all sorts of stories to tell. Certainly one section of this conversation is around, my diagnosis and how everybody's sort of face reality with, as over the course of time.
Right.
And I was just talking to Mom the other day saying, 2 years ago, right around now, my hand was bothering me and I was starting to go to some doctor appointments. And then, December, January diagnosis, we went skiing in Jackson Hole. I was playing golf. We went to Nantucket that summer.
Right.
Still basically, fine.
Yeah, 85% fine.
Yeah. I think I played my last round of golf like in September. Then last year we went to Switzerland for Christmas and New Year's.
Yep. That was still manageable.
That was still quiet. I didn't have any assistive devices or anything. And we're walking around and I went skiing, but I couldn't hold on to the pole.
Right.
With my left hand, and so skiing without poles was annoying, and so I didn't really ski that much other than one day. And then things started to get serious.
Yep.
I mean, sort of divided into thirds. There was the first third was kind of, awareness of what it was and worries about what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And the second third is the stuff starting to show up, leg braces,
right.
Wrist brace, wheelchair, feeding tube,
yep,
etc. That was kind of phase 2, and now I think we're sort of going
entering into phase 3.
Phase 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why don't you?
Yeah, I think.
Feel.
Yeah, I think I have had the easiest go of my relationship with your disease, better than I think a lot of other, when I specifically think of siblings and stuff like that, which to no fault of them at all, but I'm just here all the time.
Yeah,
like I'm here. I don't know, 3 days a week, 4 days a week, like quite a bit. And so none of the changes are a noticeable increment. Things are fairly steady and linear, and it's like when you're with someone all the time, you don't know them growing.
Right,
like,
right.
it's just, it's something that is much easier to adapt to because I see it,
Yeah, it's sort of the progression is slow.
Right.
Unlike Lily, who's, every few couple of months.
Yeah.
It's a little more stark.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a little more jarring.
Right.
But with that being said, I think I was, like everyone that was figuring out, I was definitely quite sad about this right at the beginning. And I think the most sad I was and the most frustrated I was hours, T plus 1 minute to hour plus 6 of hearing about, when you drop the news on us. And I think there are several outlets that made me feel a lot better, one of which being Rune, which I haven't honestly been on now in over a year.
Yeah.
But Rune was super helpful. And for those of you that don't know, Rune, I think it's RUNE.
No, ROON.
ROON.
It's an app that you can get on, and they've actually spread it to other diseases, but it started with just ALS that has all sorts of information and like video snippets from ALS doctors,
Patients, caregivers, doctors yep.
about, any stage of the disease that you want to know about. And that's why
you recommended that.
When we had the initial conversation with all three of you, I said, look, don't Google ALS, but if you're looking for information, like
Check this out. Yeah.
go to Rune. There are a
Mhm.
couple other
Yeah.
sites that are, educational, but not alarming.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think,
As alarming anyway.
Right.
yeah, I think I downloaded Rune, at 8 p.m. that night, and I think I watched every single video on Rune until about 3 in the morning that day. And honestly, after that, I felt a lot better. And something that has been helpful that you have been told by multiple people is that you kind of take things, uh, a week or a month at a time.
Yeah.
And if you extrapolate out to further than that, it's not super productive.
No.
And so if you say, okay, like what is life like in 3 months? It's like, probably incrementally worse. Like the disease is going to be incrementally worse. I mean,
Yeah.
and if you go to any time after that, there's obviously the question of what does the end of this look like, which is not good. And so that has been something that's been, it's kind of just been ingrained in my mind, and it's something that I force myself and now just do subconsciously of I do not think in the future very far as it relates to the disease.
I think it was a conscious decision on my part to, particularly recently as I'm entering this new, it's sort of the beginning of the end. I don't mean to sound
Yeah, no,
negative or morbid, but like I'm at the end of interventional stuff, right? I
Right.
got a feeding tube. I'm not going to get a tracheostomy. I do have non-invasive ventilation, but there's basically nothing more that's going to happen to
Yeah.
me to,
there's no different wheelchair that you're going to get.
Right.
there's no more interventional stuff. So it's just going to be a glide down. But I've tried to be like, we need to be realistic about this. It's not, let's not stick our heads in the sand. And in that regard, we've done a lot of fun stuff as a family. We've spent a lot more time together.
Definitely.
And I mean, there was always a good group dynamic, but the level of sibling,
It's changed a lot.
not bickering, but you know what I mean, like just
Yeah.
barbs or whatever, like
Right.
has almost, you can round it pretty much to zero.
Yeah.
So you've got to make lemonade.
Definitely. And I think, when people ask me about like how are things, or people want to know more about the, what my mentality is behind the ALS stuff or any of that, I think what I noticed first are unfortunately a lot of the good things that have come from that situation.
That's fortunate.
Well, it's unfortunate that this is the way it was catalyzed.
Right, but life is life. You know what I mean.
Right.
And so, what do you do? What does one do?
Right.
When you're kicked in the teeth? I mean, we talked about this on several occasions on the pod of being, resilient and how do you respond to adversity and all that stuff. And
Right.
collectively, I think we've all been sad in our own way.
Right.
And but we've also been, hey, let's make the most of it.
Right. No, I completely agree, and I think there are, not to use the word unfortunately, but there have been a lot of benefits. The way not even in our immediate family, but also in the extended family.
Yep.
The things that we've done together.
The trip to Vegas, the
Right.
Dad and Co. How great
Right.
was that?
That was amazing. The Pete Fest.
Pete Fest.
Like for obviously most people don't know, but that was a huge family gathering for the sole purpose of getting together and celebrating life and all that.
And there were probably, I don't know, 90 people there or something. I was up in Maine at my brother's house. We went to the Sphere in Vegas. It was me and Mike and Jack,
Rhodey.
my brother Nick,
Yep.
Adam Rhodey,
Keith
my
Canning.
cousin Brendan Canning, Keith Canning.
Yep.
That was it, right?
I think so.
Missing anybody?
Uh,
Anyway, saw Dad and Co. On a
back to back.
Friday and a Saturday, and
Yep.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was also the first time. Remember, we were walking through the Bellagio trying to get to that restaurant,
Right.
and I was running out of gas and had to take a seat. So I started crying. It was a whole scene.
Yeah.
And that's when we thought, dude, you need a wheelchair. And they found,
that was a tipping
that
point.
was a tipping point.
Yeah.
Uh,
Which was good to find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, the way it's brought family together and the way that we have adapted to this, I think, has been. I don't know. I don't know if I have the quite right word for it. I don't want to say motivational or good, because obviously there's a lot of
Healthy.
healthy.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way of putting it.
Pragmatic, healthy, it's a very, very slow moving train wreck.
Right. And I find myself these days very, very, very rarely being sad about it, because there's a lot that's good, and
Yeah.
there's stuff that's a bummer, and I think I'd categorize things as bummers, but I wouldn't. I think there's far more good than bad for most of the things that happen.
Yeah, because things are still, I can talk, I can still walk around a
Right.
little bit. I got this chair, I got mobility, we got, it's still a reasonably normal, whatever. And I'm reasonably, it's a normal level of interaction that we have.
Yeah.
Basically.
And I think I think this with a lot of people my age and their relationships with their parents. And I think a lot of people, especially that don't live super close to home, I think I'm like, you're gonna see your parents, 300 to 500 more times in your life. If you live a couple hours from home, like, I think that's
maybe.
It depends on how old you are.
I think it depends. Well, I think as soon as you hit 24, like as soon as you're in your job and doing whatever, I think a lot of people see their parents a couple times a year.
Yep.
Maybe
Yeah.
10 times a year on the high end.
Yeah.
And so
that's a lot of years to get to 300.
yeah, for 30 years,
Yeah.
if your parents are 60, maybe by the far end they'll be 80 or 90. But
Yeah.
my point being, I probably, just like Jack and Lily, wouldn't be coming as home as often.
Yeah, for sure.
Had something like this not happened. And if you extrapolate that out to coming home a lot less, but for longer, it might not even be like, we might be spending more time together in the next couple of years and over the last couple of years
Than we would
have
I agree.
with no disease at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I think is an interesting it's an interesting way to put it in perspective of, we're actually getting a lot of time together, which I think is good. I think if I could say to anyone who is of my age and whatever, like,
Take stuff for granted.
Don't take stuff for granted, and don't wait.
Right.
Because everyone here is going to have some parents that get sickly at some point, because that's how life works.
And like whatever little, nits or nonsense that gets on your nerves or whatever, get over, because in the scheme of things, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
Anyway, so super exciting stuff coming up in June, and I think everybody's fired up.
No, we are too. Haley is doing an excellent job of wedding planning.
Yes, she is.
She has full executive control over the event,
As she should.
and is doing a very good job doing 99.99% of the project planning.
And I would, as your father, as fatherly advice, advise you to say that as frequently as you possibly can in her presence.
Yes.
Good. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on the pod.
Yeah, this has been great.
It's been really good to listen to. And I'm looking forward to both more of you guys talking, as well as seeing what kind of other guests you guys can muster.
Right.
Yeah.
We got all sorts of tricks up our sleeve.
Oh, very exciting. Very exciting. All right, Pete, Mike, thanks so much.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Wrap.
If you have comments or questions for Pete and me, you can email us at 2224peter@gmail.com. If you'd like to get involved with or donate to ALS causes, check out ALS One at alsone.org. Thank you for listening.